a month ago, and today's topic is gerrymandering. Now, how many people here feel they have been helped by gerrymandering?
Oh, there's one.
There's some of the things that help us. How about if anyone? How many people feel they've been hurt by gerrymandering? Okay, the question you have to ask yourself is why? Why do you feel that way? So, well, I mean, gerrymandering is. Well, you obviously have a comment. Okay. Well, you know, at this time, there's a great deal of interest in gerrymandering. There's some very high-profile cases. There's a case in Wisconsin, a case in Maryland, a case in North Carolina. And even today, in the legislature of our dear state of South Carolina, they're debating whether to set up a nonpartisan board for redistricting in the future. So it is a very timely topic. Obviously, I think all of us have a great interest in it because of representative democracy. So I feel that our topic is quite good. We have two speakers here who are well qualified to speak on that. We also have a town representative, an elected official here joining us. Tom, welcome. And what we're going to do is we brought together a husband and wife team to discuss the pros and cons of this. So you can look at that any way you want, but I think that's going to be kind of interesting. Our first speaker will be Mary Ann Bromley. Mary Ann Bromley holds a PhD from Fordham University. She has a long career in public service. She presently is very active in the League of Women Voters. Her husband, John Riolo, also has a PhD from Fordham. I don't know if there's a connection that you guys meet in college. Okay, that was the deal. Anyway, John is presently on the faculty of Walden University. He teaches, among other things, statistics. Mm-hmm. And as you'll see when you look at some of the discussions on gerrymandering, the statistics play a key role. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Ann, and she will speak for 15 minutes.
Or 16.
And John will speak for 15 minutes, and then we will open the floor for discussion.
Okay, thank you so much, Neil and Jerry, both for coming up with the idea of having this program and for asking us to deliver it to you. So 15 minutes is going to be tight, for me at least, and so I'm going to be throwing out a lot of information and not going to have necessarily the time to really give any supporting data to back it up. I'll give you references and things like that. So those of you who have pencil and paper, you might want to jot down any questions you have or comments that you want to make, because my experience with having come to the first program is that once we finish these two 15-minute presentations, then there'll be ample time for discussion and questions, which is a nice thing to occur, so that all the things I don't cover in my 15 minutes of fame, you can ask, and hopefully John and I will be able to deliver. So I'm going to start with a video from the Washington Post, and so we're going to connect through the internet.
Gerrymandering is, first, let's start with Government 101. Andy.
Great. 3 minutes, and you'll have it, and it jumped on him.
Do it the other way. When you're ready to roll,
I'm ready to roll.
You're ready to roll. Okay.
I'm ready to roll.
Here we go.
3 minutes.
In the United States, each state elects a certain number of representatives based on the state's population. The larger your population, the more representatives you have. Each representative represents a district, or a geographical area including its voters. Ideally, we want to have a range of representatives who reflect the political views of the population across the state. But how do we decide who gets to vote for each representative? Let's look at an example. Suppose we have a very tiny state of 50 people. 30 of them belong to the blue party, and 20 belong to the red party. And just our luck, they all live in a nice even grid with blues on one side of the state and reds on the other. Now, let's say we need to divide the state into 5 districts. Each district will send one representative to the House to represent the people. Fortunately, because our citizens live in a neatly ordered grid, it's easy to draw 5 lengthy districts, 2 for the reds and 3 for the blues. Voila! perfectly proportional representation, just as the founders intended. Now, let's say instead that the blue party controls the state government, and they get to decide how the lines are drawn. Rather than draw districts horizontally, they draw them vertically, so that in each district there are 6 blues and 4 reds. With a comfortable blue majority in the state, each district elects a blue candidate to the House. The blues win 5 seats, and the reds don't get a single one. Oh well, finally, what if the red party controls the state government? The reds know they're at a numerical disadvantage, but with some creative boundary drawing, they can slice the blue population up such that they only get a majority in 2 districts. So despite making up 40% of the population, the reds win 60% of the seats. Not bad. This process of redrawing district lines to give an advantage to one party over another is called gerrymandering, and it's nothing new. The term gerrymander is named after early 19th century Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry, who redrew the map of the Senate's districts in 1810 in order to weaken the opposing Federalist Party. Our example is, of course, a huge simplification. In the real world, people don't live in neatly ordered grids sorted by political party. But for politicians looking to give themselves an advantage at redistricting time, the process is exactly the same, and the consequences are very real. Gerrymandering is at least partly to blame for lopsided representation in the House seen in recent elections. And, it's been argued by the president, for political polarization, since representatives don't have to compromise hardline views in order to win seats.
Okay, that's it. You're gonna switch to the, thank you.
Here's the PowerPoints. From the beginning?
Yep. He's got it. Okay, so hopefully
I'm
that
also a
gives
tech
you
person.
in the nutshell idea of how gerrymandering can work. And so what I'd like to do now is show you how it could work in our own state using the congressional districts, the U.S. congressional districts, but keeping in mind that it is the state legislature that draws the lines for the U.S. congressional districts for South Carolina. And that would be true in any state. So they're in control, whoever is in control of both houses in South Carolina or in any state, and the governor has the power to veto, can pretty much draw the lines the way they want to. Because here in South Carolina, it is not a transparent process at all. We don't get a chance to see it until it's a done deal, basically, is what it boils down to. Okay, so suppose, you don't have to suppose too much, suppose that the Republicans control all 3 levels of our government in terms of the State House, the State House of Representatives, and the State Senate. Okay, and they decide, using these fancy mapping software, they decide that they're going to put as the top priority of being able to take control of as many of our 7 congressional districts as they can. All right, and so this is how it might look, where in 6 of the districts, including the district that we're in, as you can see, and they use the margin of error 83% of the time.